Okay, let's take a look back and see what happened this past week. So I got the beavers out, got the sand casting kit in, started making some silver beavers. Some other fun animals too, but yeah, I'll show you those later over time, but main thing is getting the casting kit in. So I could make 3D shapes, things like that, not just bars and rounds, have a bit more fun with it. Starting to get a lot more into it. Getting some different channel pours, things like that. Got Will's Treasures pour up here. And then also silver stacking rock stars right here. And yeah, pirate stackers right there. And a few others that I poured myself. Yeah, I am looking to get some more pours over time. Yeah, we've had kind of some interesting things happen this past week. We've had Micheal Burry, that would be the guy from, the dude from The Big Short movie, or yeah, The Big Short. Yeah, it became kind of well known after betting against the housing market in the global, before the global financial crash or crisis. Ended up profiting quite well. He did pretty good for himself back then. Yeah, he kind of made a name for himself throughout that. He started tweeting about hyperinflation, few bubbles going on in different assets. Yeah, he got a visit from the S.E.C. and ended up shutting down his Twitter, which is kind of strange to get something coming to you like that, like the S.E.C. over just some tweets. It isn't really a big deal. People could say whatever their opinions are on the economy. There's nothing wrong with that. I guess it could show how sensitive the system potentially could be right now. We're talking about the Fed openly admitting expect higher rates of inflation than normal, basically to cover their tracks and everything, in my personal opinion. Just so, oh yeah, this is normal, we have it under control when inflation runs hot, which it inevitably will. There's no way you could print this much money and not have this kind of, have a higher than expected inflation, higher than wanted inflation. You've just got to follow the M1 money supply. It tells the story. I go off the M1 money supply, not the base money supply, because that's the amount of money ready for checkable transactions, things like that, right here, right now, today. That is why I like to follow the M1 money supply a lot. That's why it matters a lot more to me than the base money supply. Money could be created and everything, but if it's not ready to be given out, things like that, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of tied up, locked in, if you kind of understand what I mean by that. But yeah, we're getting this inflation trade. Bond yields are rising. You need bond yields to rise now, since we're going to start to get inflation. Now, since inflation is being anticipated, and it shows in every market, bonds, stocks. I really do believe that bond yields are going to continue to rise. They're not going to stay low forever. There's no way they could. Governments have spent money saying, because interest rates are low. That's what our government stated. We're printing all this money because interest rates are low. That's coming from the Prime Minister himself. That's not his exact words, but you know what I mean. He says if interest rates are low, basically doesn't matter how much money we're creating. It's the interest rates aren't going to crush us or anything. Well, that was yesterday. Interest rates are rising today. It's not going to stay that low forever. I forgot to mention this, but the S.E.C. is the Security Exchange Commission. They are the ones that went to Micheal Burry's house, explained to Micheal Burry, and I'm not sure if it was his house, his work, where it was. I believe it was actually his work where they visited him over his tweets. Yeah, he's a fund manager, essentially. I really don't care a whole lot about what he has to say or what his tweets are. It really doesn't matter a whole lot to me. But I just find it interesting how the S.E.C. Securities Exchange Commission decided to go and visit him at his house over tweeting about, mentioning things like how inflation could go out of control and things like that. There's a lot of asset bubbles in many different places. And yeah, that's just my thoughts, that's just my opinions, that's just the biggest interesting bit of news or whatever is going on this past week that I've seen. I found that very peculiar, I found it very odd, very strange, and yeah, it makes me curious to see what's going to come next. I don't anticipate the economy to recover and that to be everything. I anticipate to recover, overheat, and inflation to really kick in. And I think there's starting to be an anticipation of that in the markets today. Just my thoughts, just my opinions. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions. Please like, share, subscribe. Stay positive. See you next time. Thanks. Bye.